Okay, hello, good afternoon, and everybody welcome to the Digital Innovation Pavilion. The Digital Innovation Pavilion is a consortium of many organizations, Russia, Overseas, Climate Change Coalition, Rotary through the ESRA, the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, with the support of the Federal Foundation and SAP. We have a Miro Bosser, which is our partner and pavilion manager. And this afternoon, we're going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be so much digital. It's not going to be so much innovation because actually the real innovations that we now know that music is what moves humanity. Why? Because it gets us in the right mood to get things done through collaboration. And what better example for collaboration than an orchestra? Orchestras are a form and an analogy that they should be looking here at the process. For instance, we're talking about the mutirão. It's an indigenous term here in Brazil, like Ubuntu in Africa, like Minga in the Andes, to promote collaboration. Well, we have today a group of Rotarians here. We have Diego Carneiro, a peace fellow, nowhere, who is a Rotarian from Connecticut, and myself, Alberto Palombo. I am a Venezuelan living here in Brazil, and I'm a Rotarian at the Rotary Club Brazil International. Besides all the stuff that we're doing here. So we're not going to be too formal today, because what we need to do is to relax. Diego, what is the best form that you know how to relax? Playing music? I mean, she knows music. I'm gonna play.
I've never sat next to a cello this close while it's being performed, so let's have this go.
I would suggest that you switch off the second one. One is better if it's only one.
Hey, John, what is Opus for Peace? Tell us.
So, Focus for Peace is a local grassroots effort and using the arts to create peace around the world. And whether it's with music or dance, film, storytelling, there's nothing like the arts to convey a message even without words. So just as Diego is a peace fellow, that's how we came to know each other. That Opens for Peace is really looking around the world and finding these projects where people are using the arts to, let's say for here, to promote environmental awareness. So that's what Opens for Peace is all about. And we've started in our district in Southern Connecticut, District 7980, and we've had performances in Quito with Diego's Orchestra. We have another coming up in England in December. So we're reaching out to Rotarians around the world to let us know about the projects that they have that are bringing the arts and using that to create peace throughout the world. And that's Open for Peace.
That is pretty impressive. Now, for those of you that are not Rotarians, John has been giving us a short description that we are effectively a network. Rotary is a network of clubs, and clubs have their interests. And but all the interests that we have is in finding ways of helping communities. So, Diego, tell me, you as a peace fellow, so we explain to the audience what a peace fellow is.
Well, in short, we do programs that support communities. To be a peace fellow, actually, it's for one of the biggest pillars of the focus or what I support. But everything started when I come from Berlin. I come from the amateur this place. When I had the opportunity to meet some people, the British Amazon Foundation, and we need to have some experience as I saw this environment. One of the project in relation need the number platform as one of the patients. And I music has been one of the integrations all of it in my life. Since I've been 12 years old, I've had to focus in different areas through music. And when I ended up to become a peace fellow, I went to Makerere University in Uganda. And where I did a peacebuilding diploma in conflict resolutions, mediation, leadership, and all of this. I use music to promote peace.
Excellent. Well, let me also add on top of what Diego said, is that peace and the promotion of peace and the resolution of conflicts is the first area, is the first cause that is adopted by Berkeley, by our network of 46,000 clubs around the world, 200 regions. And peace also was the cornerstone of the first actions that we had in Rotary, and something like a matter of knowledge of curiosity for you is that Rotary represented delegates of the San Francisco Convention that created the United Nations for World Trade. And this is how we started to our relationship with the UN. And the Rotary now has a number of teams of representatives. We have a group of representatives of Rotarians that participate in the UN system and other international organizations, promoting many activities in collaboration with communities in order to address many needs. Going back to peace, we have some very no, what happens is that we have chosen a time in which there is a lot of manifestations in culture, and I think in a way what we can do is just to go to a food store. Okay, so then we can wait for the silence, and then we can start with your performance and with your art. In the meantime, how is Amazon Art involved in the peace promotion activities? I want to, obviously know a little bit more about them. Thank you.
Roberto, when I used to fly out from the Amazon, I used to enter in the lake. I used to see the answers. Despite the I want to do something about it. And I designed some Amazon art. Ama, o português visual. Songs, art. So I put it together between Amazon. I was very young, I was already 18. But I remember since I was 13 years old that I played at the Teatro da Paz, the Peace Theater. Have you seen the Peace Theater? And being around Berlin. I was 12 or 13 when I played my first concert there. And seeing that, when you watch the movie Peacebuilding of Fitzcarraldo, the German guy who went to Iquitos to Manaus, and then in the 70s, I think, and that all inspired me to, to see it as my career. I did it. So I had the luck to be supported by many people, and I wanted to contribute. And I would see all the necessities we have here. I was the first boy of a project at that time. And then I was a professional, very young professional. And then I decided, I thought I was the right age. I was too young to find something called Amazon Art. Then I started here, but I organized in London when I had the opportunity of music. And then I started to support a few projects in the Peru Islands around the region here. And nowadays you can see, for example, there are a lady called Nena, not sure if you know this, but there is someone famous called Nena Chocolates. She's organic chocolate. We helped her in the beginning. So I saw her music indirectly to support other projects. Amazon Art became a way for volunteers, for teachers, to musicians to support projects. And then in Ecuador, birthday, in 2016, April. And then I decided to form an orchestra to rebuild some buildings that are affected in the area of coast area. And then finally, I received lots of talents from Venezuela. That's where we met Alberto. After that, really after that, I got also musicians from Venezuela in Ecuador who migrated to Ecuador, found refuge in the orchestra. And that became a core project for Amazon Art. So we gave another opportunity to integrate musicians because in spite of our Venezuela health system, we should know that the system is probably the biggest project socially to foster communities, vulnerable communities in the world. It's a phenomenon, and Ecuador had lots of those musicians who migrate. I was lucky to have put them together, lots of work, then totally during COVID helped with a campaign of instruments called Instruments of Peace. And this campaign will really materializes, it became tangible with the support of local camps in Connecticut and also Peace. And they helped me to bring 300 instruments for those musicians who I was just telling about in Ecuador. And we just managed to do this in August. I had one or two videos this time, it'd be nice to show. And John was there with me with the wife, with Jurate, the same, and we had the opportunity to see live the results of the support of each one. And our idea now is to bring it to Berlin again. My idea was a bit ambitious, is to do the orchestrating piece around the equator line. If you talk about the equator, coming from Latin, it means make equalizers, make equal. Music equalizes, isn't it? Our emotions and it brings us together. That's more or less what I can say now, but I'm not sure if you want to say a few words yourself. Oh, absolutely.
And one of the things that we can then rely on digital technology to bring this to the knowledge of communities. What community wouldn't want to have some sort of food for the heart, as well as we have food for our stomach? And you might think, well, this is something that is a very off the mark of what we're discussing here in climate action. So I think that when we have the people that are getting together, that are collaborating, doing something for the city, for building measures to adapt to climate conditions, or to mitigate some uh, extreme events. What we also need is to have a way that unite us and that aligns. That was my first summit. How do we align people and put them in the vibe? And music has demonstrated throughout the times. We have some musicians here, some are singers. They are a little bit shy because they are in this pavilion, but they really know how to sing, by the way. And there are some others that really know how to play. And we could have here, for example, some sort of exchange that will take themes that are all dear to us. For example, climate action. Okay, so imagine in the Amazon basin, bring all the youth that want to play an instrument, that want to experiment how to collaborate with each other, starting with an orchestra and ending in the community, doing something good for the world.
So all that, I'll just take that. And that basically, that's what we did with Instruments for Peace. And we started in Connecticut, and we got all these instruments that people didn't want anymore in the United States. A guitar that was sitting collecting dust, or instruments that were being used were no longer being used in schools. So we went around and collected them and filled the shipping container with those, including 4 pianos that were very difficult to get off the truck. But when they were delivered to Tito, there were more instruments than students in the orchestra. So now the grant that we're going to be putting together is to teach teachers throughout the country and then distribute those other instruments. And then the goal is, of course, that we can replicate that project here in Vietnam. And as you were just saying, if we were able to collect these instruments, we can give them out to the students in the Amazon, but they need to learn how to play them. So we need to train the teachers and then give the instruments and then make that sustainable. And then I just wanted to follow up on one thing, and that is about the arts. The thing about the arts is that it's used everywhere to magnify message. You know, over this is art. Over there, we've got music going, and many projects are going to have some component of a song, of a dance, of graphic arts to convey that message. And that's again what we're trying to accomplish with Amazon Arts through Opus for Peace and all the other items that we're working with.
Oh, thank you, John. I wanted to mention that my experience in Uganda was something that taught me a lot, since they have never really seen a cello. I was playing, for example, by the borders of Congo and Uganda. And I played for many refugees from Rwanda and Congo. And after I played, they were looking at me. Some of them were crying, and the older age, the younger age, they didn't know how to translate the feeling. Because I would ask what happened. I don't know, I never seen these instruments. And I felt peace inside of me. Okay, and then I said, any questions? And one boy, 12 years old, said, yes, I have a question. How does, it's a funny question, so yes, does your instrument also play happy music? I was so shocked about that. Does your instrument also play happy music? No, because he saw me playing the cello like this, and they wanted to sing and feel happy. And so I said, I have to change my. I spent my whole life studying the cello to make people feel sad. I didn't know. I didn't mean that here. Then I thought to myself, I need to find a way. And then I thought, I discovered, if you heard the Ghetto Kids, have you heard of them? Probably the biggest dancers there, like Michael Jackson, people in Africa, right? I recorded with them in the cello. And you know, they even sent a message to Brazil. Do you mind putting this video to them? Orchestrating Peace, that's the name of the video. You have that? So this video.
Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo
Buenas
está?
tardes.
¿Todo bien?
Todo bien.
No siento molestarles, estoy buscando el Chota.
El Chota, ahí está.
Me llamo Diego Carneiro. ¿Y usted?
Fernando Calderón.
Fernando Calderón, un gusto. Este aquí es mi amigo Chelo, está viajando junto conmigo también. Buenos días. Qué paisaje hermosa, inspiradora. Realmente perfecto para hacer música. Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Todo bien? Idea cómo hace eso.
Yo soy la reina de la rumba. Yo cuando bailo, cuando estoy bailando, no tengo hambre, no tengo frío, no tengo sed, no tengo nada, no tengo nada.
¿Ya había visto o escuchado un cello antes?
No había
¿La
visto.
primera vez?
No es guitarra, es violín,
Es parecido con violín.
es violín,
Roberto, come on. Can you tell a bit of the experience and environment? How do you see, for example, this project?
Because what I think is to make an environmental music project in these islands. And there is a place we're gonna visit tomorrow in Kumbu, and we're gonna build this eco theater and teach, using recycled instruments for the community. You remember Villalobos? Okay. Villalobos was probably the better known classical music composer of Brazil of this 20th century. And he inspired his work on Bach, on Schubert, and many other styles, bringing all the rhythms of the forest. They have the Amazon Rhapsody. Amazon. And we got inspired precisely by the sound of the forest. I believe that we could take something like inspired by the people of the forest. Because we have been talking about, and here the visual pavilion, as I ever said in the it's a lot of art. We also train biodiversity. But in the middle of the biodiversity is the diversity of the humankind. And I believe there's a lot of material, and probably reaching to the heart of the people of the Amazon could be a very nice enterprise, especially because climate action is about people. It's not about the biodiversity. The biodiversity will be there anyway. We are going to be gone. We are going to nature will find its own way. And we say that one of my favorite Nobel philosophers is a Spielberg. Classic art is nature, science, and technology. Well, how does the human nature prevail and adapt to what's going on in its surroundings in order to live in harmony, to have that multi-law. Perhaps multi-law could be a source of inspiration for work of music in the Amazon. You have the wood, that because you have already taken with you facilities. We are talking about climate displacement. Well, how do we get them from our sort of ways in order to re-encounter with nature? I think there is something in which artificial intelligence can help us to mix in the business and make sure that we mix the partitura with the strength, the human strength, the human nature in the Amazon. That's what I'm doing. You ask me in impromptu, like my impromptu, for knowing you and knowing John, how passionate you are about bringing music for uniting people.
Well, I'll just say that we have a break in the music behind us. I'm not sure if we're going to get a chance to perform a song, but one of the reasons that I'm here at Top 50 is that I wrote a song, and I've been an environmental activist for many years. And I wrote a song, I look back at the year I wrote it, was 1988. And the song was called Do Something Now Before It's Too Late. It's kind of ironic that I wrote that 37 years ago and we're still here with this problem. Well, what's interesting about the song is that the very first verse was about the hole over the ozone hole, the hole in the ozone layer above Antarctica. And it was the first verse. And the third verse was about acid rain in the United States, in North America. And so here we are all these years later. I have revised the song a number of times, but those two problems the world came together to solve. And we have other problems. Mostly 37 years ago, we weren't as aware as we were about the carbon in the atmosphere. But as I said, if we get a chance, we prepared this song to sing here, and it's one of those things. Again, is that we have the message to convey through arts, and the biodiversity in the rainforest is also part of what that song is about. So I think that I was just looking for this opportunity. I think we're going to get a little bit of break to perform. What do you think, Diego? You think that they're done over there? All right, so what's your take on it?
Yeah, I would like to say also maybe I have a chance. I will show a little bit. I will try to connect what Alberto and you just mentioned. I will play something like the Lobos, inspired by Portugal's and the legend from Brazil. In Amazon. In Bolivia, it will be today. Amazon Day? Yeah, of course. We have a legend here that we have in the same legend in Ecuador. So Brazil, the Amazon is about shared about among 8 countries, right? Ecuador has 1% of the Amazon. The 1%, this 1% has the biggest biodiversity for meters, square meters. And then square meters, acres. So then Brazil has a bit more than 9%. We have the same the word kuya. You know kuya? No, I don't know if you know that word. Kuya, we say this also in the Amazon of Ecuador. Kuya is the oh, thank you. I believe it comes from the people I'm not sure. We have about 212 dialects in the Amazon of Brazil. And the Marajo Islands, we have the ceramic Marajoaras. They were found, I'm talking about 2,000 years ago, they were found also in reminiscence of those materials of the ceramics in Coca, around Coca in Ecuador. Meaning there were already connections, probably music and food, but also legends. There is a legend that they share but with different animals. You know the idea of animal becoming from man or a human being. You might have that also. We call it Porto here, the big dolphin. Over there they say Sacharuna, which is a sort of lagarto. So that's Spanish, right? Lizard. He becomes a man and he chants people. They say him here. But here in Brazil, it becomes a bit more dramatic. The Porto finds women and then one girl and then they get pregnant. And she has to tell the father, Father, I'm so sorry, I'm pregnant. He says, go out of the house. And she says, no, but it was the Porto. So embraces that. The community embraces. And the whole mystery of this, about that legend became a piece that I like to share. So I'm going to do a mixture, an improvisation between Villalobos and this sound from the forest. Yeah. And the legend of Porto and bird calls. But meanwhile, I want to introduce those bird calls. Can you hold this for me, please? So, for example, yeah, thank you. We have a famous bird call here, a bird called Uirapuru into Guarani, and that is called musician rain. That's the name in English. It sounds like that. And then you have another one, which is the tuca. You can hear this if you go outside in the lane, you know, outside. There is another which is quite like it's from the eighth bird. So there is a conversation here, a dialogue. Then you can have some danger because of the jaguars. When they're hungry, you know, they work together, they sound something like that. Then you combine all of it, you put a little bit of water. The water, if you go to the garapé, you call it garapé, the sort of, you know this word in garapé? No? It's, yeah, it's very silence, right? You feel it. In Italian, sentire, you hear and feel at the same time the sound. Here, this is the water. I will put Villa Lobos incorporate those songs so to become like a voice of the cello becomes an intermediate for the forest and at the same time an inspiration for other musicians like Joe to play his song after that. Yeah?
Do we have any comments from the audience about what you're experiencing here? Okay, Domenico. Per favore, Domenico. Vieni qua.
First of all, Diego, really congratulations because in this place there are everybody's talking about climate, forest, environment. But I will recall the German philosopher Nietzsche. No, Nietzsche was saying that music is something that more than ever is nearing the real essence of the things. No, and you demonstrate clearly that today. Okay? With the music you render at the forest, and really, I'm shocked because it was super nice. So thank you very much for doing that. And I think that this place needs more music. And so please, you're welcome to come here.
Any other comments? Okay. Listen. I remember Peter and the Wolf.
It's amazing people say that. Yeah, really well. By the way, we spoke about environment, climate change, etc. Saving the planet, which is about your peace. But then, how can we? I think it's really difficult to do that, to sustain that, if we don't find peace, if we don't promote peace among people, among nature, among ourselves, isn't it? So it's something we should improve in our thoughts. That's why we include today Peacebuilding music and climate change. But I would like to also, John, to explain your piece before someone else. You want to say a few words more, or
Anybody else? Okay.
Okay, so just this piece again, it's something that I wrote. It's near and dear to my heart. And it has 5 verses, so you have to bear with me. But the first word that I wrote this to be like something far away, and then it comes to you. So I come from the United States. Something is far away; it doesn't get any further away than Antarctica. So that's where this starts, and then it comes closer. It comes to the rainforest, and the next verse talks about the oceans. The 4th verse talks about the weather and the climate, of course. And then the 5th verse is an instrumental verse, which we're going to have a violin solo on. And the final verse is there's still a little time left for us to act, but every day there's less of it left, and that's a fact. But by conserving, preserving, and changing our ways, we can save the earth from the end of days. But if we don't do something now, if we don't show everyone how, if we don't do something now, it might be too late. So I think that everybody here truly believes that it's not too late. And I just encourage everybody to go home from this conference. If they've been watching at home, do something now before it's too late. That's the song.
also, John, also think of, yes, I would like to say that John, he has also built a top opera company, right, in the US. He does not talk about that, but he was music so many years ago, and also he's an environmentalist, right? Now a peace advocate. We have the opportunity to I invited my sister to be part of it. Lisa Carneiro, she's a lawyer, but also lives in Berlin. And she's a very yeah. Long story, we don't have so much time, but thank you for coming, for joining us. We're gonna provide also
With percussion.
with because you know, but he has never heard the song. And that's the point of music, putting together people, right? Can you not maybe because of the you cannot listen to it. You mind just playing a little bit?
Sure. We'll get it started. All right. And I think that's what we have to do around the world. We just have to improvise. Work with the people that are available to you, and then make the best of it. So here we go. Do something now. Oh, here we go. I'll talk a little bit more about was getting his electric cello together here. We got to play some rock. Digital innovation. Here we go. Digital cello. Whoa. Like down here in the Amazon, they're cutting down trees so fast. Soon will mostly be gone. To breathe for gold and land to farm. It's causing the planet irreparable harm. And if we don't do something now, it might be too late. It's gonna take everyone in the world to save the world. It's gonna take everyone in the world to save the world. Every woman, man, boy, and girl. It's gonna take everyone in the world. Everyone in the world to save the world. The oceans of the world, they're under threat. Coral reefs are dying off. To stop the stress. We throw in garbage, wasting oil, and wonder why our coast is spoiled. And if we don't do something now, it might be too late. The weather everywhere, it's tending towards extremes. More heat, more drought, more floods than we've ever seen. Hurricanes, fire, killer storms, 100-year events are now the norm. And if we don't do something now, it might be too late. Guys, it's gonna take everyone in the world to save the world. It's gonna take everyone in the world to save the world. Every woman, man, boy, and girl. Everyone in the world. Everyone in the world to save the world. Greenhouse gases and deforestation. We've got to stop this devastation. The warming planet won't fix itself. It's up to us. There's nobody else. There's nobody else. There's nobody else. It's up to us. Well, there's still a little time left for us to act, but every day there's less of it left. Then that's the fact. But by conserving, changing the way, we can save the earth from the end of days. But if we don't do something now, if we don't teach everyone how, if we don't do something now, it'll be too late. It's gonna take everyone in the world to save the world. It's gonna take everyone in the world to save the world. Every woman, man, boy, girl. It's gonna take everyone in the world. Everyone in the world to save the world. Everybody's got a right to live. It's gonna take everything we can give. Everything in the world to save the world.
Oh my goodness. I never felt so useful to another brother fellow by holding this microphone.
Right.
Well, thank you, Domenico, for the percussion.
I have to say this. This is my first public performance in my life. Okay? I just write all this music to myself and share it with my friends, but now I'm sharing it with the world. So that's what Rotary gives you. It gives this type of platform. So here's a plug for Rotary. No it's for peace.
Thank you, Lucia. Oh, I didn't know that you had not only Diego, it's the whole Carneiro family here. Thank you, Domenico, for such a nice contribution. Do we have a closing remarks? How does it work now? How much time do we have here? Okay, well, let's continue the show. Let the show roll.
Obrigado. Well, I think we finished the climax, right? Thank you for the discussion. Right. And we should do more of that, right? And the image was good. Thank you. Well, I believe I've been visualizing for doing a project in this place, in the islands, and also Ribeirinhos, and eco theater. That's what we're looking for. We're trying to create these projects with people who are interested. So you are a press, so promote that for us, please. We need more promotion, and we are creating a fund for that, which is to construct the climate resilience, cultural resilience fund, and then we follow us on Instagram, in social media, is Amazon Aston, or just follow us. We have our information here, so be connected. Thank you very much, Roberto, for everything.
Before we go, we need to come up with some conclusions. This is a session. This is a session which we need to leave us some sort of message. How are we going to promote peace in this case? As Slavic activities, music is building a community resilient. Messaging is probably the most important action in humankind, right? Our difference with the rest of the species is we can communicate, so we can agree or disagree sometimes. And that, according to Yuval Harari, if I can bring that reference, we are mankind. The different story of mankind is culture, and Let's qualify that a little bit more, agriculture. But here we have the opportunity to bring music in order to convey messages, like Diego did, emulating sounds of nature. We started emulating sounds of nature, and then John put some emotion about how we can, really come up with some idea to bring awareness, and that it's not only a local problem, it is a global problem. Comes from the Antarctica up to the Amazon, to the polar caps, to the Greenland, to the tundra, and back to our savannas, which is about 40% of our tropical land. Music allows us to tune in and give some rhythm to the years. My message to the top negotiators is get in sync, align. There is no room for distortion. Distortion can become just noise. And with noise, it will be very difficult to disaggregate it later in order to harmonize it. And what we need in the world is harmony. I know that Opus for Peace is about promoting harmony. There is one element that is very dear to Rotary, and there are here Sahar from Egypt, but a number of young people to participate in a cup simulation. Why? Because they are not, may I say, I'm sorry for if somebody gets so sensible about this comment, they are not contaminated by some of the politics and some of the vested interests. How do we carry out this message to the young people, to the next generations?
Well, I'll start off with the one of the things that I found one of the most interesting things was at the opening of the conference on Monday. All of the countries agreed to fight climate disinformation, and I think that somebody had put it that the two great challenges facing the world right now, it's not just the climate, but it's the disinformation. And when you put those two together, that's where you've got the problem, because I come from a country that's not officially represented at the COP. That's the United States, unfortunately. I'll just leave it at that. And with the young people, Rotary, I keep coming back to Rotary, but they're just examples of what is happening around the world without Rotary as well. But the young people have to learn to be discerning about the information that they receive and understand how to separate out and how to identify disinformation. So that's one of the biggest things that we can work on, is helping young people to be critical thinking about the information that they're getting and understand what's right, what's true, what's not true, and what some people are trying to push on them for their own agendas. So I think that's my part of getting the message out to the kids. And Diego has got something that has to do with their heart, I'm sure.
So Diego just became a peace fellow. Why don't Diego just a parenthesis? Describe what is a Rotary Peace Center and why was your interest of becoming a peace fellow?
Well, okay, then you can hear me, yes. We have here many languages in this room. Music was the language that connected us together. We got together, we didn't know each other. So, sorry? We met 2 hours ago
Last night.
But I want to say something else, but I will answer your question. To become a peace fellow is an opportunity that God gives us. We can study. We meet colleagues who are great people who are doing something important to the world, or in the communities, or in the local places, in the areas that
we basically need to collaborate. But I will use an analogy that sometimes I like to use as a musician, and then I think that's the message. So to become a musician, we got four elements, which I always say is very important for us to begin. So one is the sound, rhythm, sound, intonation, rhythm, and dynamic. So the analogy is like this: if we have the opportunity to take care or serve the planet, I think we should focus on peace building and education through those four elements. For example, we to be a musician, we have to improve our sounds. We need to study our sound to get to hear our sounds. At the same thing, if you want to do peace in the world, you need to hear your essence, develop. And then you tune to another person. You have to hear the other person deeply. Then you have your sound, you tune to people. The intonation is very important. You understand people, then you move on to go deeper in the understanding when you see there are different rhythms in our culture. There are different rhythms in Brazil, in the Amazon. But you hear, you understand, you tune, you are actually already promoting peace building and a change in the world. But the most difficult thing is the dynamics. The dynamics of a melody creates magic, it creates the impact. If you have a melody without dynamics, it doesn't really create the impact. And dynamics bring this analogy to peace building. It's actually overcoming our difference, our conflicts. It's actually forgiving. It's actually reducing hate. And music is there to help us to improve this relationship. Relationship in the world is very important. In yourself, to people, and to nature.
Let me, how do you say here in Brazil, pegar carona. Aí você take on that track. What is the similarity between promoting peace and a music score in an orchestra? Like in building an opera.
Play music and the orchestra. But so I mentioned the word before, orchestrating peace, because that's the organization I found in Florida last year. They used to take music to schools. They teach the relationship between music and peace building. It's one of the things we are focused on. So orchestrating, if you go to, for example, orchestra, the conductor doesn't have the music as a button. They need to empower people to become leaders. So we have the first violin, we have the cello, we have different sections. So what to do? You empower their voices to play together in tune, listen to each other, without conflicts, to harmonize also this. So my relationship is the score is just a code. But when you interpret, when you perform, when you have the performance, you create a change in the world. So let's become more performance in the world.
And I think the orchestra, yeah. The orchestra is a beautiful metaphor for you take all the different instruments, all the different individuals, and if you play by yourself without paying attention to everybody else, it'd just be a cacophony, it'd just be noise. But when you have somebody, we're all moving in the same direction, all reading from the same page, and you can make beautiful music that can change the world. And with that comment, we leave. I want Amiro to also say something because you know this, but Amiro is also himself. It's an itself musician.
Not today. To use this opportunity to say thanks. Because, this is a very special moment
really a lot of heart power in this our digital innovation pavilion. And so I would like to express our gratitude to Diego, Alberto, John, Livia, and Domenico, and everybody who has joined the choir in singing this song about joining forces for saving the world. That's really what the world needs. And I'm proud and happy that we had this special moment together. And I would like to express our gratitude to Rotary. We are very happy to have you as our partner at the Digital Innovation Pavilion. We can really do a lot together because with this vision and these values of humanitarian service, we helping one another, helping the world, and building our common future together. This makes us powerful because the problems are huge, but if we join forces, then there is hope, and together we can achieve it. And we are going to welcome Rotary as our partner, and especially Alberto, who has done a great job. And we met last year, also Domenico has been with us, and this is the beginning of the journey. And Sol was also here. I didn't mention Sol. Sol was also connected to Rotary and connected to Blotcher since years. And yeah, together we are strong, and the music will build the tissue. We build this. We are one global family, and music will help us. Thank you very much, Diego, for your wonderful music.
So bring you to the end of the session. And I thank each and every one of you, and we'll Godspeed. Go safe, but hope.